Good evening, friends. This is Rahul Magan here is a Group Chief Executive Officer, Treasury Consulting, and also a venture capitalist. Now, standing today on 10th October 2019, practically at 4:30 in the morning, we are going to be shooting a pretty important video about the excessive accommodative monetary policy being adopted by Reserve Bank of India. Well, as you know that on time to time basis, I always review the policy of the Reserve Bank of India, and I always of the view that Reserve Bank of India actually do not know how to manage the foreign exchange. Or probably in the last several years, including Rahul Magan, followed by Urjit Patel, and then followed by the current governor, I think no one understands how foreign exchange actually works. If you talk of Rahul Magan, he never thought to improve the corporate repo market, and the end result is the Indian corporate repo market is standing nowhere when it comes to the repo market of the international central banks like Monetary Authority of Singapore, Federal Reserve, ECB and all. And when we talk about the Urjit Patel, then you know very well that Urjit Patel actually was a sponsored governor. There was one specific corporate house who want Urjit Patel to be there. We very well know about that. And when we talk about the current governor, we know about the history of the current governor. We know that how exactly he works and what is his understanding about the financial market. In fact, there are talks that when he appointed as a governor, he went to IIM Ahmedabad to take some classes of how the finance work. This is what the level of the governors we have in Reserve Bank of India. But today we are not talking about the level and the knowledge, because everybody in the world know about the level and the knowledge. The recent BIS tunnel survey, and I'm sure that around 90% people, those who are watching this video, would surely not read about that. But we are still reading it and digesting it. Recent BIS tunnel survey spoke a lot about the Indian rupee. It also taught that how fair Indian rupee against the global peers. And specifically speaking, in the top parameters of Indian top parameters like interest rate swap, overnight index swap, spot market, and multiple parameters given by BIS, INR stand not in the top 20 of the globe. But still, the bloody corrupt media will never show that. The bloody corrupt media and the people like Samiran Chaturvedi, the people like if JP Morgan Chase chief economist, and all these, they will always give you a picture that everything is going good. If everything is going good, then you should also be aware of the fact that in the recent basically the survey report by the World Economic Forum about the top innovative basically competitive countries of the globe, Singapore ranks number 1, and that's beauty. We always proud to say that we are a Singaporean based company because the way they work. Of course, having said that, we do have multiple interpretation issues with the Singapore as well, but still Singapore is far better than we have here as far as the governance is concerned. Now today we talk about basically Reserve Bank of India as far as the excessive easing is concerned. Well, this media always talk about the easing. I always and there are multiple economists, although few in count, who are continuously speaking in the media that the rate cut by Reserve Bank of India will not serve the purpose. And more or less I am in sync with that agreement. We need to be in sync with that agreement, because rate cut cannot serve the purpose alone. So example, there is a complete machine. In this machine, a nut and bolt would have an equivalent role followed by all the parts of this machine. I got some data from newspaper. You know that I read newspaper daily, whether I'm in India or I'm in Singapore. I'm returning back to Singapore in basically November. Missed a lot Singapore in the last 3 months. Now in this data we got to know how much easing the respective central bank does. Like US Federal Reserve did an easing of 50 bips, while India did 1.35%, 135 bips. Thailand, Central Bank of Thailand did 0.25, 25 bips, while Philippines, Central Bank of Philippines did 75 bips. Central Bank of New Zealand also did 75 bips, while Indonesian did 75 bips. Europe, no change, they are already negative, and while Japanese, no change, they are already negative. Now the moral of this story is that if you look at the Asian central banks, which is predominantly in Philippines, Thailand and India, India did the highest quantitative easing recently. And I call this as a you call this as an accommodative monetary policy, I call this as a quantitative easing. And the governor came in the public domain few days before and said that if there is a requirement of more rate cut, then I will get this done. Practically, the repo rate is 5.1. If we cut from here, we are reaching to 4.75 levels. This would have serious consequences for Indian rupee and also the saving stability in the system. Now, we already reported in our 1 minute YouTube channel, which is second YouTube channel, Treasury X, that the weighted average lending rate between the private sector bank and the public sector banks, the width, basically the delta, is over 135 basis point. And RBI also in agreement of the fact that the rate cut which RBI do is not actually reaching to the final customer, which is known as transmission mechanism of monetary policy. Now, since transmission mechanism of monetary policy is not happening, henceforth we need to take up a call again whether the rate cut which we actually doing is helpful or not. In English, there is a proverb called whatever it takes, Now, this proverb is generally used in army and in sports, because army generally use this whatever it takes, that whatever it takes we need to win that post. While sports people use this whatever it takes we need to win this trophy. I think Reserve Bank of India is in the same path. Whatever it takes, we need to revive the economy. We need to understand very clearly that the problem in the India is not a rate cut. Had it been, we would have reached rate cut to 2% and India would be again a super growth economy. While the hard reality is that India is heading as the next Argentina. Majority of the financial experts of the globe forgetted the Argentina. They also forgetted the Argentina risk. But still India is facing the Argentina risk. I don't know how many people know about Argentina risk or not, but Argentina risk means when an economy grew like this, and all of a sudden it started falling, and then the huge investments people made, either it's a private investment or a public investment, they all on a toss. Because when the economy grow, people make investments. People feel that economy is growing. Like, although the numbers of the GDP given by India is always suspicious, several people said a lot of negative remarks about the numbers. Had it been India growing by 8%, the joblessness scenario in India, everybody know. But that is a different thing. We talk this later. So when economy is growing, people made a lot of investments. It could be power plant, it could be steel plant, steel electricity projects and multiple. What happened once these projects over, once the economy falling, then these projects rather than turned as an asset, turned as a liability for these company. And end result, they end up as a NPA, which is known as a non-performing asset. Now, what happened that Indian economy is on a falling, that we all know. And since like this, now since the Indian economy is falling, we all know that Indian economy stand nowhere worldwide. We stand nowhere worldwide. Now today we got some video on a public domain, basically on a WhatsApp, which shooted in Thailand. And I don't know the guy who shooted this video, but I've been to Thailand several times for business purpose. Maybe in December I will go again. He shooted a video that on a Thailand airport, somewhere on a Thailand airport, could be one mall as well, where then people have put stickers outside their basically I would say the money changing shops with money changers. They have said that we do not accept Indian rupee, and that is a harsh reality. That if a country like Thailand, I should not tell what Thailand is all about, right? A country like Thailand, the money changers have put a note that no INR is accepted. It's a shit. That it means that Indian nationals need to carry US dollars, GBP, Swiss franc, or could be local currency, which is Thailand baht, if they travel to Thailand for business or the holiday purpose. Well, for an apparent national, this problem could be of economy. But for us, the problem is actually the hedging, because when you do basically, okay, like I go to Changi, because we're based out Singapore, return again in November. I based out Changi, I'll give INR and I get Sing dollars. Generally I have Sing dollars, but generally I convert to Sing dollars. When I give INR and convert to Sing dollars, now this INR, if I convert with UOB, which is United Overseas Bank, then UOB would have as an INR as an asset. Right now, this INR they need to hedge. Now that hedging is happening in the non-deliverable forward, because Changi is a big airport. There are thousands of Indians, those who landing in Changi daily. It could be travel, it could be one day visit, people like me, those who based out, and there are humongous amount of stuff. So ultimately UOB collects lot of INR. While if the fluctuation will happen in the INR or the volatility grow in the INR, then it is difficult for the UOB to cover, because ultimately what was the transaction? Ultimately the transaction is the UOB is selling Sing dollar and buying Indian rupee. This is the transaction, while UOB need to reverse that, which is UOB need to buy Sing dollar and selling Indian rupee. For that they need to cover in the interbank market using non-deliverable, because INR is a non-deliverable currency. You need to use common sense. If INR will turn volatile, this would have impact on the hedging of UOB. It could be anything. It's not UOB. We can have even Goldman for a minute. Although Goldman is not into that business. If Goldman would have a money changing business, the Goldman would also have similar problems. So when your currency moves too much, then one of the important reasons the people stop accepting that currency. There are a lot of other reasons as well. But if you look at this data, we get to know that the nearest bank, those who did highest quantitative easing is the New Zealand, Philippines and Indonesia, which is 75 bips. And how much you did? You did 1.35%, which is much higher, is over 60 bips higher. And you said that you are ready to do it again, provided there is a requirement for that. That really we need to see very carefully. If Reserve Bank of India would continue to be in that domain, I think that the interest rate in India will reduce to a level when the savings will collapse. Because one cut from here and you will go in the 4% territory. And it would not only impact the savings rate, but it would also impact the returns generated by the mutual fund. It would also have an impact on the term deposit rate quoted by the banks. It would also have an impact on the carry trade between USD and INR. It would have a sequential impact. Although I do not support any political party, but still if out of political pressure Reserve Bank will cut this rate, then it would not only have a severe consequences on all aspects of the economy, rather it would have a deep implication on the currency as well. Currency will depreciate. It's a pretty clear thing, because remember, if you cut one rate from here, you will reach to 4.75, and don't forget you are sitting in October. So practically January the carry cycle starts. So iBanker along with the top HNIs and sometimes FIs, foreign institutional investors, start their carry in January. And they plan in December, they start in January, they wind up in December. Generally carries for 12 months, right? Now if RBI will cut repo rate here, then the funding, the carry which ultimately coming to India will dry, and that's for sure. In fact, it will also dry. It's also drying. The reason, the fact of the matter, the repo rate is closer to 5%. So if you exclude the hedging cost, you end up receiving nothing, and that you need to learn. You end up receiving nothing. So carry trade is not generating enough unless you do DCDs, which is dual currency deposit, but not many people understood that. So we need to be careful. Extra accommodative is not good for the economy. And if RBI even will cut the repo rate to 3% here for a minute, I assume if they cut to 3%, for a minute they disregard the carry, the reverse carry, basically the savings issue and all, it would create a severe mess in the economy again. Remember Greenspan, the most idiotic central banker of the globe. I call him idiotic and I never feel shy. People call him the longest serving central bank of the globe. During his regime, US cut the interest rate to almost zero, Z-E-R-O. And what happened? We all know. Since US cut it to zero, we all know that the huge pump happened in the mortgage market. People just took the money extensively, and when the bust happened 2008 and 2009, everybody was on the flat line. If RBI will cut the lending rate, it will cut the repo rate to 3% for a minute, a sudden bump happen, people will take the money, but they will not invest. They will not invest. Because remember, investment criteria, investment is different than borrowing. That we need to understand. If I borrow, doesn't mean I invest as well. Like take an example. Today there is a news came that when the tax cut announced, I think 2 weeks before by our Prime Minister, by our Finance Minister, the Bombay Stock Exchange was like, like this, but I am a critic. I see things carefully. I see futuristic. What happened? Today a news came that 62, sorry, my mistake, 65, which is roughly what, two-third, 65% of the Bombay Stock Exchange listed stock are in red after tax cut. But all these paid and sponsored and the corrupt people come into the public domain in the business channels, advised people to buy, and now 65% of the listed stocks of Bombay Stock Exchange are in red. Because we never wanted to see things holistically, we never wanted to see things down the line. We always see things from a one angle, henceforth we lose. Today we are cutting rates because of political pressure, because of zero knowledge. But we do not know that we are inviting the problems like Greenspan invited. And Greenspan invited the problem which US yet to resolve. Somehow it got resolved by the intelligent people like Powell to an extent, by rising the rate. But he messed it up. And almost similar thing we are doing. I'm sure that in the next upcoming policy, MPC, which is Monetary Policy Committee, they would surely be cutting rate by 25 bips. And I'm damn sure that they have in the mind that they need to take repo to roughly 4% or might be closer to 3.75. It's very difficult to comment, but from 6.75 we have reached to roughly 5.1, and God knows where are we heading. Now with this, we thank you very much, and we would like to give you good news that today on 10th October we started our WhatsApp newsletter. Every morning, plus minus 1 to 2 hours, in fact once in a day and several times in a day, we will give you WhatsApp newsletter. That WhatsApp newsletter is free. You visit our platform www.fixedincome.global. You go down at the end and you will get a link, Treasury Imperatives. I repeat, Treasury Imperatives. From Treasury Imperatives, just below that you will get a black icon. You need to register yourself as a WhatsApp newsletter. In this WhatsApp newsletter, we are not going to be like Sequoia, SoftBank, and all these people, not like Samiran Chaturvedi, not like Vijay Shekhar Sharma and all. We're going to be letting you know about the financial market, about the venture capitalist market, about everything, and that too holistically. That's my promise. And a lot of action on the cards, but I'm damn sure the regulators we have, they don't understand how exactly financial markets work. With this, we thank you very much. You know my mobile number, which is +91 in Indian code 9899242978. You know our fixed income platform, www.fixedincome.global. Have a great time and talk soon.